Very good morning to everyone. We are in the last concept of mutual fund investment, understanding mutual fund investment, which is called role and support function of service provider in mutual fund. So, mutual fund is a vast subject you need to study in detail. This is just a basic example how mutual fund started, what is understanding of cost of mutual fund, what type of mutual funds are there, types of mutual fund, how it is evaluated, based on what circumstance, how it is characterized, what are the important features of this mutual fund, what are the further classification, been detail explained from many number of classes, so including types of mutual fund, investment revenue, calculation of NAV. So there are different form how they just go for classification of a mutual fund in form of different functions, operations, and the customer service team, and how it is enabling customer calculation, how it has to manage in different way, what is the best way to buy and when we can sell, how long you can hold the mutual fund, and how this mutual funds meet all types of objectives, and how this trust is created, who are the sponsors in mutual fund, and structure of mutual funds in India, and how fixed maturity plan or capital protection plan, different types of mutual fund plans, and focusing on debt schemes or multiple options of actively managed funds, and in form of different classification in detail we have studied. So where you have been, I have said about the different calculation, how it works in mutual fund buying and selling for long-term investment securities. So now coming to the role and support of functions of a service provider. Number one, first, as an objective, first person as a service provider, what we are calling as a fund accountant. Now we should know that who is a fund accountant. A fund accountant performs the role of calculating NAV, net asset value, and already I have said that true worth of unit of mutual fund scheme is called as a net asset value, true worth of unit of mutual fund, and it is when investment actively is profitable, true worth of unit increases. When there is a loss, true worth of unit decreases. So NAV is also net realizable value per unit. In case of scheme is liquidated, how much money could be generated if all holdings of schemes is sold or converted into cash. So that is called net asset value. So the role of fund accountant perform role calculating of NAV by collecting information about asset and liability of each scheme. Asset management company can either handle this active in-house or engage service provider. There is no need for registration with the SEBI to perform this function. So that is called fund accountant. He performed the role of calculating NAV. The next slide, second one, as a service provider, we call a registrars and transfer agent. Now we can look into who is a registrar, and it is written a person who maintain investor record, he become a registrar and transfer agent. Let us discuss with the registrar and transfer agent in detail. Like registrar and the transfer agents, what we call RTA, maintain investor record. Their offices in the various center serve as investor service center, which perform a useful role in handling the documentation of investor. Functions of RTA include processing of purchase, redemption transaction of investor, dealing with financial transaction, receiving funds for purchases, making payment for redemption, updating the unit capital of the scheme to reflect this transaction, updating the performance in individual record of the investor, then keeping the investor updated about this status, their investment account, or sometime related to the investment. That is the main role of a registrar and the transfer agents. Then comes an auditor, responsible for audit of accounts. Auditor become responsible of audit accounts, where accounts of mutual fund scheme need to be maintained independent of accounts of the AMC. So here, asset management company has to be looked by the accountant, looked by the auditor, where different schemes maintained and are independent by accountant, which asset management company is guided through the auditors. Then auditor appointed to audit the mutual fund scheme account need to different from auditor of AMC. So auditor appointed to audit the mutual fund scheme account need to be different from auditor of the AMC. So while scheme auditor is appointed by trustee, the AMC auditor is appointed by the AMC. So for the scheme of mutual fund, auditor is appointed by the trustees, but AMC, asset management company auditor, is appointed by AMC itself. So that is called auditor. So auditor is responsible for audit accounts. Number 4, you have a distributor. So you can see here need to pass the NISM certification exam, MFT. Now we'll look into what is that NISM certification exam, what is MFT. So distributors, who are the distributors, and what is the role of distributors. Now distributors have a key role in selling suitable types of mutual fund schemes to their client or investors. A distributor can be MFL'd with more than one AMCs. So distributor can individual or institution such as distribution company or broking company or any type of banks. So distributor need to pass NISM certification exam, which is a NISM series like a mutual fund distribution MFT certification exam, register with the MFI, regulatory aspect that rules some of the distribution, change management or channel management practices are covered later. So all these are classified in different angles. So SEBI also has allowed the provision for the new cadre of mutual fund distributor who are allowed to sell certain limited set of schemes, and this cadre distributor can be MFL'd if they clear NISM series VB mutual fund foundation certification examination and register with the MFI under a particular category of distributor. And this is all about distributor. You need to pass the exam to become a distributor of mutual fund. The next we call as the collecting bankers. Now let us see about who are the collecting banker, and those bankers also called payment aggregators. See, the investor money goes into bank account of the scheme they have invested in. So normally if I'm an investor, my money goes directly to bank account with the scheme, and this bank account are maintained with the collection bankers who are appointed by the AMC. So normally even if you are an investor, your investment goes to bank and that account is maintained by a collection banker who appointed by the AMC, asset management company. So here leading collection bankers make it convenient to invest in the schemes by accepting application of investor most of their branches. Payment instruments against application handed over to the branches of AMC or RT need to banked with the collecting banker. So money is available for investment by the scheme. So thus bank enable collection or payment funds of these schemes. Now while banks play a big role facilitating mutual fund transaction, a new category of players have made entry, like we call payment aggregators. They are some payment gateway provider, digital wallets, payment bank. All these players facilitate transaction by allowing investor to buy mutual fund units. So these collecting bankers, they collect the money. The payment aggregators, they invest in, they take that money, they pre-invest again. Once again, they just go for investor to buy mutual fund in form of different facilitators. As an example about digital wallet and payment banks. Then you have a KYC registration agencies. One of the role and support for mutual fund KYC registration agency. It is mandatory for all investor in security market, including mutual fund investors, to be KYC, know your customer, and complaint under provision of Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So KYC process covered in detail in form of establishing identity and address of the investor. Certain examples here, like if an investor has to go through the KYC process with each mutual fund, then it would become a repetitive process. So when it's come for SEBI issued regulations for registration of Central KYC Registry Agency in 2011, and this introduced a common KYC for investor investing in security markets. And I can give you an example. I had a mutual fund, but I didn't upload it or upgraded my KYC. So automatically the bank has cancelled my application what have been funded from many number of years. So KYC updation is also very much required. KYC registration form are registered with SEBI, and these are the process of various detail of the accounts document established to identity of an investor, assign number of mutual fund in form of different registration intermediary or investor who wants to be do transaction. So this is what the role of KYC registration agency. Then you have a valuation agency. Now, valuation agency like SEBI has issued the guidelines for the purpose of arriving at fair valuation of debt security that are not traded, and according to this guideline, there have to be at least two valuation agencies that provide valuation metrics. Like AMC have to make use of metrics to arrive fair valuation of this investment, which is appointed by CRISIL and ICRA. That is one of the rating agencies. Then you have a credit rating agency. Now, in case of credit rating agency, this agency rates the debt security issued by various issuers. Like fund managers consider such rating as a key input while taking investment decision. Few mutual fund products, credit rating assumes that greater importance. Certain category of debt funds, such as a corporate bond fund, credit risk fund, are defined on the basis of credit rating. A capital protection oriented scheme need to carry credit rating assigned by rating agency, and have restriction pertaining to their investment universe, and also they have a function of credit rating assigned by these agencies. This is how a rating agency will work. But when it's in case of fixed maturity plan, AMC is allowed to disclose the proposed rating profile of a scheme before portfolio is constructed. This is important. So then it is a mandatory to invest in the debt security only within the proposed rating profile. So this is the role of a credit rating agency. Next, you have a depositors and a depository participants. So here depository is an institution which hold the security in a dematerialized electronic form on behalf of its investors. Initially, depositories held only equity shares on behalf of the investor. Later on, security including mutual fund, whereas also dematerialized. Investors have to option of holding the mutual fund unit in dematerialized form through depository participant. Especially today, everything are electronic form of investments, and depository reach out the investor through the depository participants. Like one can consider depositories as the head office of a bank, and depository participant keen about the branches of the bank. Like bank account holder does not transact directly with the head office, but only he do a transaction with the branch. So an investor does not deal with the depository, but the depository become as a participant, but with the participant they go for dealing. So there are different types of depository in India. Especially there are two depository in India. One is National Security Depository Limited, what we call NSDL, and Central Depository Service Limited, CDSL. This covers under depository and depository participant. Next, you have a stock exchange and the transaction platform. Stock exchange and the platforms. So here, investor can now transact in mutual fund units through the stock exchanges, and the units of closed-ended funds and ETF are compulsory listed on a list on security and on exchange. At the same time, units are open-ended funds are also available through special segments, stock exchange, and at the Bombay Stock Exchange segments is known as BSE Star MF. So here, while in the National Stock Exchange it is called NSE Mutual Fund. Then the investor can also transact directly through stock exchanges. There are the multiple way of a platform where stock exchange, where mutual funds are traded. The next topic is about the last concept of your syllabus, that is role and functions of AMFI. So in case of Association of Mutual Fund in India, role and functions of AMFI is the last concept of mutual fund, and it is an association of all registered asset management companies. So role and functions of AMFI. Let us go with the AMFI functions. Number one, here you go for a different variety of association of mutual fund in India. is regulatory and industry body for mutual fund industry in India. So now one first different view in point of view perception, where association body has an objective promote the mutual fund industry. So what are the objectives of association of mutual fund in India? It promote the mutual fund industry, foster greater understanding, awareness of mutual fund among investor, encourage saving investment in mutual fund as a means of wealth creation. Number two, protect the interest of the investor, safeguard the right and interest of mutual fund investor, provide guidance and assistance to investor to ensure they make informed investment decision. Number two objective of association. Number three, it establish ethical standards. The duty of ethical standard to promote, enforce high ethical and professional standards across mutual fund industry, ensure fair practices and compliance with regulatory requirements. Number four, you have represent the industry. One of the objectives in representing the industry, association has to represent the industry, act as a liaison between the mutual fund company and regulatory authority, including SEBI, Securities Exchange Board of India, and it address the issues affecting the mutual fund industry and advocate for policy that support its growth. And coming to the seventh slide, the fifth point is then one of the objective, disseminate information. It will collect, analyze, disseminate data about mutual fund industry to the stakeholder, publish report, study to provide transfer in the industry. And sixth one, you have promote investor education and awareness, conduct a different campaign and initiative to educate the public about benefit, risk and mutual fund investment. They encourage financial literacy among investors. The seventh one become it facilitates best practices. It provides a platform for many number of members of mutual fund to share knowledge, best practices, and they standardize the process and the procedures across the industry. So this is how they go for fulfilling all type of objectives. So association, and it has a connected with the company or industry, asset management company, and they go for informing about which has a higher risk profile, which has a less risk profile. And you can see it's the promote investor education based of risk of mutual fund or benefit. This is very much important. Benefit risk is attached to investment pattern here. That will be explained in form of promoter. So promoter will explain about what are the benefit attached to the mutual fund schemes and risk attached. Coming to the last slide, that is the handle grievance redressal program. You might be seen there are so many objectives of association, right? And coming to this slide, uh, you might gone through for the various types of association which leads to get into category of fulfilling the objectives of association, and how these funds are diversified, how they promote and what type of business they does, and how they fulfill the investment objective, might be in the long term or in the short term, what are the risk profile in the long term, in the short term, how it has to be calculated when it's come for asset management, what is the way of calculation, who are the registrar, and what are the agency role, right? So handle grievance redressal become the last point after going through all the objective. They offer mechanism to resolve disputes between investor and mutual fund company. There are many times where there will be dispute because the money expected, risk attached is not very clear, or sometimes the expenditure of the company is incurred in form of a hidden charges which is not disclosed to the investor. So dispute between the investor and mutual fund company has to be classified under grievance redressal. Sometimes the money in form of compensation or risk return profile, return on investment, all these have been taken care under grievance. Then they ensure promote fair redressal of complaints. Any such type of complaints are taken into consideration. Then by fulfilling this objective, AMFI Association, Mutual Fund Federation of India, they aims to create the transparent, efficient and investor friendly mutual fund industry in India. Finally, the grievance redressal cell. They just go through for every calculation objective based on systematic, transparent, efficient, investor friendly mutual fund industry. So here comes end of your 2 chapters on the mutual fund. I hope you have gone through for that. Now, all the best about mutual fund schemes. If you really like to invest in mutual fund, take the real and clear information about the fund through their agency or the advisor. So thank you all. We'll see in future.